Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. I'm so happy you're here today. We're going to be talking a lot about different factors in special needs planning today and focusing on the letter of intent. Plus, I want to make sure I get some of your questions answered. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that we are recording this webinar and we will email it to you later on today, along with the slides. So whatever email that you registered with, you should be checking to get the slides and the link to the recording for this webinar. The other thing I want to let you know is that we're in webinar mode here on Zoom, which means that I cannot see you or hear you. I see a number of participants, so I know you're out there. But the easiest way, if you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear those. Please just put them in the chat box. That is the easiest way for me to be able to present and read your comments and questions at the same time. So before we get going, I just want to thank Cynthia Fogelman and welcome her. Cynthia, would you tell us a little bit about your program?
There. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I represent Turtle Wing Foundation. We are located in Central Texas. So if you can imagine Houston, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, we are right smack in the middle on I-10. So we're in rural Texas. And what we do is we help rural families with children who have special needs, learning challenges, connect with local providers so they don't have to drive all the way to those larger cities. So I'm going to read a little bit about our history and tell you how we do what we do. Turtle Wing Foundation was founded in 2011 in the memory of Jackson Allen Hooper, or Jack, who was diagnosed with high functioning autism. He died suddenly just prior to his 10th birthday. His passing sparked a fire within his family and community to help families who struggle with all learning differences. In 2023 and 2024 fiscal year, Turtle Wing Foundation financially supported over 340 individuals with learning differences, received services they needed. Over 1,200 families were enrolled in our parent support network. Hundreds more were touched by the early intervention, supplemental services, and education and advocacy efforts of Turtle Wing. Turtle Wing Foundation serves as a resource hub. We connect families who have children with learning challenges with the services and support they need to be successful. We are dedicated to changing lives. The foundation's goal is to help individuals fly academically, socially, and spiritually. Not only does Turtle Wing serve as a resource hub, connecting families who have children with learning challenges to the needed resources in our community, but we also help those families afford those services, as well as look for partnerships to create new opportunities for our families. By connecting with providers, Turtle Wing has the ability to underwrite programs as well as fund individual scholarships for services ranging from speech therapy to inclusive dance classes. Our providers are the boots on the ground, performing amazing services. The Turtle Wing provides the funds to increase program research, to increase program reach and make sure that no family goes unassisted due to their economic status. So that's just a little bit of who we are, what we do, and how we do it.
Oh, that is fantastic. Thank you so much for the services that you provide and for sharing your audience with us today so that hopefully some of our attendees and clients can get to know you and some of your clients and fans can get to know us. I really appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you, Michelle.
So Consolidated Planning Group, just a little bit about us. We host these webinars 2-3 times a week about different topics related to special needs planning. We are a holistic financial planning firm that focuses on serving clients who have a loved one with any kind of intellectual or developmental disability. We work all across the United States, even though we're based in Texas. We are based just outside of Houston in Sugar Land, Texas. And we serve families all across the United States. We've been doing this for 30 years. We are members of the Academy of Special Needs Planners. We are National Social Security Advisors. I am a chartered special needs consultant through the American College of Financial Services, and we are fully licensed in insurance and investments and securities, things like that. So first and foremost, we are a financial planning firm. But most of our clients, I would say 90-something% of our clients, have a loved one that has some sort of disability. So this isn't something we just do on the side once in a while. This is our entire practice, is focused on helping families like yours. Families come to us for special needs planning topics like how to protect your family if you or the main breadwinner in your household becomes disabled or passes away. How would your family carry on without that income? We do a lot of help with thinking about lifetime care plans for your loved ones. How much does a lifetime of care cost? And how can you set that money aside so that once you pass away, that money will be there for your loved ones to take care of them? And how much? How much? We help you think about transition planning. You know, there are three big transitions in your child's life that we can help you focus on. That is when they turn 18 and some of the laws and regulations change surrounding their benefits and their assets and income. There is also the time when they graduate from high school, and now you have to decide what your loved one is going to do, you know, with their abilities and their passions and their interests. You don't want them just to graduate to the couch. So what comes after high school? And then the third big transition that we help a lot of families with comes with housing. When your loved one moves out of your house, where are they going to go? What does that look like for them? Where will they be living? And how will they be taken care of? So we help families with those big transitions. We also help with ABLE accounts, understanding your special needs trust, referring families to attorneys who can do those things, and, you know, making sure that you know what buckets your money needs to go in to protect your children's benefits. And we are here to advocate for you and to educate you. You know, the owner of our company has two children with disabilities. And when she was going through all of this, she realized how subtle and nuanced this area is, and that there's so much that you need to know. And she said, you know, as a financial advisor, I should already know all of these things, but I don't. And so our entire company's focus is to make this easier on you so that you don't have you don't have all of the challenges that Allison had to go through in planning for her own children. You know, there are over 263,000 financial advisors across the United States. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So out of those 263,000 financial advisors, though, fewer than 200 of them focus on special needs planning like we do. That's less than 0.1% of all of the financial advisors in America who focus on special needs planning. So you're definitely here in the right space when you're talking to financial consolidated planning group. So some of the bits of advice that we have for you, because we know it probably keeps you awake at night, laying there thinking about who is going to take care of your loved one when you can't do it anymore. So what we have to say about that is, first of all, the time to start planning is right now. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. You know, you're not going to be criticized. You're not going to be in trouble for what you don't have in place. However, the best time is right now to start thinking about the future. You want to think about things like what educational options are out there, what residential options and programs and vocational options are available for your loved one. And when you start planning early, you have a lot longer time that you can make small incremental changes that are going to make a big difference in your overall picture. Whereas if you wait, sometimes we have found that, families come to us when their loved one is already an adult, already maybe in their 60s even, and there's just nothing that we can do in order to help financially prepare because you're so far along in life. So it's definitely better the earlier you can get started. Another thing that we always say is to be very careful about just assuming that a sibling is going to want to or be able to step in and take care of their loved one. So, I always use the same names, Jacob and Sarah. Let's say older sister Sarah, you just go ahead and think that Sarah's going to take care of her little brother Jacob when you're gone. Well, at that point in life, Sarah might have her own job, her own family, her own kids, her own drama. She's got a lot going on. And now she's got Jacob to take care of. And she might feel a sense of obligation and not really love the fact that she agreed to this before she knew what life was really going to be like for her. And on the other hand, maybe young Jacob, he loves his sister. They've been thick as thieves all these years. They've been best friends. But now his loving, sweet friend, sister, wants to step in as a caregiver. And that comes with a little bit of mothering and taking care of someone, comes with a little bit of control, right? So, what if Jacob feels resentful towards his sister now? Because you're my sister, you're not my mom, you can't tell me what to do. I could imagine my kids saying those things. So, be careful of that situation. It might work for you, and if it does, that's great. But if it does not, and you need somebody else to come step in and take charge of your family, you definitely need a letter of intent. So today's focus is on the letter of intent, why you might need one, what that is. And then, of course, I want to answer any other questions that you might have. I do have a list of questions that people posted when they signed up for this webinar, and I will get to as many of those as I possibly can. If I don't get to all of your questions today, please be aware that we will offer a free consultation that you can schedule with Consolidated Planning Group, and we'd be happy to take the time to answer any leftover questions that you might have, and then tell you about how we work and what we do and how we can help you. All right, so let's get into it. And please just remember to put your questions and comments in the chat box. Sergio, unfortunately, we do not have transcripts available right now. I don't know how to turn them on. I feel like you could probably turn them on the YouTube channel when you watch this video back later. But for right now, there's not much I can do about that. I'm so sorry. So a letter of intent. This is not a legal document. This is kind of a love letter for your family, or an instruction manual, if you will, for the person who is going to come in and be in charge of your family when you are not around anymore. Nobody knows more about your family and your loved one than you do. So what we encourage you to do is write this letter of intent, thinking about your loved ones and how somebody can take care of them. They're going to need to know a lot of information, and it's hard to get it all down on paper, but it's so important because it can really help make sure that your successor guardian knows what they need to know about your child's abilities, routines, interests, what values you want for them, what they love and hate, and how to make things run smoothly for you. So A letter of intent is highly, highly recommended, but you do not have to have it notarized. You don't have to show it to the courts. The only thing that I suggest is that you print it and make sure that it is available in case somebody needs it. So what I'm saying is, I would I would write this on my laptop and then print my latest version. Keep it somewhere handy where somebody can find it. Maybe if you have a binder of documents for your loved one, it should go in there, or maybe just in a folder on your desk. But if you're gone, and people can't log into your computer because it's hidden behind passwords, then that letter of intent is not going to be very beneficial for anybody, right? So make sure that if you want somebody to find this, you print it and keep it where it can be found. Yeah, Eric has a great idea in the chat box. He says maybe you could even record a video explaining your thoughts. Yes, that would be great. But again, you have to make sure that somebody knows where to look for that video or that document. So even if you already have a will or a trust, if you have a special needs trust or guardianship, power of attorney, that's all great. And you should have at least 2 or 3 of those things in your pocket, right? But those don't really necessarily outline in thorough detail everything that a letter of intent should have. Having your child's financial side taken care of is only part of your puzzle. And part of that puzzle, the other part, or another part, is that caregiving aspect. How can someone care for your loved one in a way that will help them feel supported and safe and loved and be what you would want for them? That's where the letter of intent comes in handy. This is going to really communicate what you know about your loved one, what you hope for their future, for their well-being, all of that kind of stuff. So I suggest, the past English teacher in me suggests that you start with the facts. And this is going to be a big part of your letter of intent. It's the facts. Who is your child? Full name, date of birth, place of birth, diagnoses, medications. Who are their doctors? Maybe start with that health history piece of it and go into, how and when they take their medications, who their physicians are. What plans do you already have in place for their care, for their needs? What are their dislikes, likes, allergies, all of that kind of stuff. So after you start writing down the facts about your child, your letter is going to evolve and your thinking is going to evolve into starting to talk about the more subjective or objective, the more fun stuff for your loved one. Maybe you can start talking about what they love to eat, what they don't like, how they live their life, and what they need on a day-to-day basis to get through. Now, this document, I say start it on your computer, or Eric had the great idea of making a video and then print it. But you should always think of this as a living document. Your family is going to grow and evolve over time. And so this letter of intent project should also be updated on a regular basis to make sure that, somebody doesn't find your letter of intent and it's 10 years old and you're talking about this little baby, whereas now you have a child who is a little bit more grown and has completely different needs and desires. So what exactly should be in your letter of intent? Think about family information. Who are your support people? Who are your circles of trust? Who are the doctors and attorneys and special needs advisors? What government benefits do your loved ones already have in place? Are they on the waiting list for the waiver programs? Are they already receiving benefits from your local authority? Are they receiving SSI or Medicaid? You might even want to consider listing out what some of the rules are regarding SSI and Medicaid, or tell this person, hey, call my financial advisor, Michelle Morris, and she'll tell you exactly what you need to do with this SSI or the ABLE account or whatever it may be. What living arrangements do you have in place for your loved one, if any? What living arrangements do you hope for your loved one? What accommodations do they need? Um, what schools have they gone to and how did they do? And what diagnoses or testing came from the schools? What about employment? Has your child worked before? Have they worked with the Texas Workforce Commission? Have they earned a substantial gainful amount in employment yet? That's an important number, and it's important for people to know that because of SSI and Medicaid benefits. So, there's things that you might not think are important. But for me, when I am interviewing a family and learning about their history, this is the kind of stuff that I need to know in order to help make sure that you have all your benefits in place. What about their personality and their habits? You know, what is going to cause your child to have the best day ever? Or if they're having a bad day, what can we do to turn it around for them? What does their routine look like to get ready for bed? What does, sometimes I've heard people say, oh, well, Jacob can totally get himself ready for bed, but you can't just tell him, go upstairs and get ready for bed. You have to tell him, go brush your teeth. And then after he's done brushing his teeth, you have to tell him, okay, now get your pajamas on. And then you have to tell him, okay, now you can read a book for 5 minutes or whatever your bedtime routine is. There are just, as you know, with these children, sometimes there are nuances in how you have to tell them to do certain things to make sure it gets done. So if somebody is going to come in your shoes because maybe you've passed away or you've become disabled, they need to know those things. What about recreation and fitness? What clubs, hobbies, what do they like to do? What games do they like to play? Spirituality and what values you would like for them to know about. This could even be family traditions or, would you like your child to attend religious ceremonies? And if so, listing out what kind of ceremonies and what values and what traditions you have in your family especially might be important. For me, if I were gone tomorrow and my children did not receive their Christmas pajamas on Christmas Eve, it might be a big deal. They would certainly know that that was missing and they would have something to say about it. So I would put that in my letter of intent. That's one of our family traditions. And so somebody needs to know to get those pajamas and wrap them and let the kids open them up on Christmas Eve. So who are your legal guardians that you have in place for your loved one? Legal guardians, do you have a special needs trust? If so, who wrote that for you? What was the attorney's name? Where is it? Where can I get a copy of it? Do you have a power of attorney for finances and for medical? And if so, where is that documentation? As a matter of fact, where is your important information kept? That's why I like the idea of a binder with your letter of intent, and then you can have medical records and lists and names and insurance policies and bank account information, your important contacts like your attorney, accountant, financial advisor, all of that kind of stuff. And what do you have planned for final arrangements? Do you have a cemetery plot already purchased? Do you have money set aside for end of life care or burial or anything like that that somebody might need to know about? So as you're gathering up all of this information, and remember, there is no right or wrong way to write this letter of intent, there's, just you put in there as much as you can. But I would, if I were doing this for my family, I would get the whole family involved because you never know. First of all, your loved one with the disability, surely they want their voice to be heard, and they can tell you certain things about them and what they want. But also, your other children or your spouse or your partner should be involved as well because, maybe my spouse has noticed something about my son that I didn't or didn't think of to put in the letter or whatever the situation might be. For example, maybe my spouse would say, you have to put in there that if you serve Jacob spaghetti, he's going to throw a tantrum and he hates spaghetti and it's going to be all over the kitchen before you know it. Uh, because who would think, right, not to give a kid spaghetti? But if that's one of the things that triggers your children or something that they absolutely hate, you need to know about it. Or if they come home in a horrific mood and it's the end of the world and they need comfort right now, it has to be the third turtle toy from the left in their bedroom. That's going to be the one that they need to hold and be comforted by. That's their special go-to animal, whatever your situation might be. All right. So here's an example of some of the things that you might put into your letter of intent to get you started. And this is some more of the kind of funner stuff that I'm thinking about for you. So maybe you could say something like, Hannah likes to dress herself, but she needs help picking out the right outfit. She needs help maybe with buttons and zippers and deciding what is weather appropriate. She really enjoys wearing clothes that are soft, nothing that will be scratchy on her skin. She prefers colorful clothing and pants instead of skirts. She likes to walk to school with her friends, Lena and Scotty, with me following by closely. So think of everything that you're telling your successor about in that paragraph. She needs help because of the weather, so you have to make sure she picks out the right kind of clothes. She might need help buttoning and zipping and tying her shoes. And she likes pants instead of dresses, but she wants them to be colorful. So you're telling them how to help her, what to purchase for her if needed. You're also telling her telling her the preferences, who she walks to school with, how she gets to school, and the fact that you still monitor them closely to make sure that she's safe. So that gives a lot of good descriptive information for your successor. What about this paragraph? In the mornings and before bed, Hannah can brush her own teeth, but she will not do it unless you tell her to. When she is told to go upstairs and get ready for bed, she won't remember what she needs to do. Step-by-step instructions are better. Go brush your teeth, get your pajamas on, like I mentioned earlier. So you can really go anywhere with this letter of intent. It's meant as an instruction guide and a love letter. And it's totally fine if you miss some stuff, because when you read that letter of intent over again in a year, you're going to have changes, you're going to have additions, you're going to have things that need to be taken out. So you can always change it. Don't worry about that, because again, it's not legally binding. It's just a helpful informational tool. So as a gift to you, for joining us on this webinar today, we are going to provide you with a letter of intent workbook. This is downloadable. I believe it's even form fillable, so you can just fill it out on your computer. And this is going to give you some guiding questions and fill in the blank type of pages to help you get started with your letter of intent. And this is really, like I said, leave this for future caregivers to tell them how to care for your child and what you want for your child. 53% of caregivers said that their own health worsened due to caregiving for someone else, and that their declined health affected their ability to provide care. So think about that. More than half of people who have to take care of somebody else say that they don't take care of themselves well enough. And because they're not taking care of themselves, it's hard for them to take care of others. And 55% of caregivers who were surveyed were unaware of how to establish a lifetime financial plan for their special needs dependent. So clearly, I would think that adding consolidated planning group, adding in an attorney who focuses on special needs planning, adding in who are the contact people that are going to be able to help the person caring for your loved one? Who do you want them to reach out to for help? And definitely include consolidated planning group in there, because we understand those nuances of helping with special needs planning. Here are some other things to keep on your radar and things that we talk about in other webinars that we host. Developing that special needs care plan is very important. Thinking about the future cost of care and how much your children are going to need to be taken care of for the rest of their lives, not just your life. Help figuring out the Texas waiver interest lists. I hope you are all on those waiting lists for the waivers by now. We can help you figure out SSI and SSDI, Medicaid and Medicare, ABLE accounts, how to set up beneficiaries, special needs trusts and how to fund them. Now, while I'm mentioning special needs trust, I want to remind you that if child support is a thing in your life, and there's going to be child support beyond age 18, because when you have a loved one with a disability, sometimes the court will allow you indefinite child support. But if you're going to have child support beyond age 18, that needs to be redirected into a first-party special needs trust. That will help make sure that your children will still be eligible for SSI benefits and Medicaid. If your child receives that money straight to them, it will be counted as income and it will reduce or eliminate their SSI and Medicaid benefits. Residential communities. We've done several webinars, not just with residential communities, but also with summer programs and day camps and even schools. We've had panel webinars where we have several representatives from those different programs come and talk to us about what they offer. So you can check those out. We do recommend that you tour these programs and communities early because the wait lists can be kind of long, and we would hate it for you to find just the right residential community and be all psyched to get your kid in there, and then you find out that they have a really long waiting list, and you're let down. We don't want you to be let down. Guardianship, alternatives to guardianship, powers of attorney, healthcare powers of attorney, and supported decision-making agreements. Those are all options for you. Guardianship is the most restrictive, and supported decision-making is probably one of the least restrictive options. Now, the state of Texas doesn't want you to have the most restrictive option if you don't need it. But an attorney can help you figure out exactly which option is right for you and get that set up for you correctly. If full guardianship is what you feel that your family needs, it does require a court case, a visit in front of the judge. Your loved one will be served papers. You will need an attorney for yourself and a separate attorney for your child. So you can start that process when you are within 6 months of that 18th birthday, because there's a lot to get done. And again, we recommend that you check out post-high school options, whether that be colleges that offer programs for kids with disabilities, or maybe it's a trade program or a tech school or a certificate program. There are a lot of opportunities out there on the educational side, as well as vocational programs to help your kids find jobs with companies that can be more supportive and patient, to help them train to keep a job. Even programs, day programs that they can go to once they're finished with school. So I don't see any questions in the chat box so much yet, but I do have some questions that you submitted earlier today, and I would just like to address some of these. So Shamika wanted to know, can someone walk and assist me with the application for SSI benefits for my son? So you can see SSI and SSDI are on this list of things that we help with. Now, we can kind of walk you through it and help answer your questions. We cannot apply for SSI for you. You know, that is a government program and you have to do it yourself. It's really not that difficult though, and we would tell you when to apply, how to apply, you know, what website to go to, who your local Social Security office is in case you need to call them. We can tell you what documentation you need, maybe gather up these items before you hop on to apply, and how the process works. We can tell you what the asset and income limits are, what the total benefit amount is going to be, all of that kind of stuff. It's just that we cannot physically do it for you. That is where we have to draw the line on that. Another question that I see from Nicole, how can I make a living for my son when I pass? My biggest fear for him is for him to go crazy. He's my only baby and I'm a single mother. I know it is very, very difficult, especially when you're a single parent, because you've got this loved one who needs care all the time, and you're paying for their care and their medical needs and everything, and trying to work. And it's very, very scary out there. We know, we get that. We do refer people to a lot of helpful groups and organizations. For example, the Parent to Parent Network, the ARC of Texas. There are smaller local ARCs like the ARC of Central Texas and Austin, the ARC of Galveston, things like that that can help. But there are a lot of groups and programs, and we can help you understand whether or not you would qualify for other state and federal benefits. Leaving money to your child in a special needs trust is going to be the best way to provide income for them once you pass away. And of course, like I said, we can help you figure out how much that needs to be and where that money could come from. Maybe it's a life insurance policy. You purchase a life insurance policy, you set aside a small amount of money each month, and when you pass, that face amount of the life insurance will go into your child's special needs trust for them to take care of them. That's one option. We also look at your investments. We look at savings plans and the benefits. The benefits are huge. Some of these waiver programs can provide up to 25 to 50% of the care needs for your loved one. So making sure you have all of their benefits in place and that you don't do anything to jeopardize those is going to help you pay for their future. Real quick, this link will take you to our website where we have listed all of our upcoming webinars. Don't jump off yet. I've got more questions here that I'm getting to. I just wanted to mention this about our upcoming webinars. You can go in there and see what we have coming and register for those ahead of time. And then that way, even if you get busy and you can't attend the live session, you would still receive reminders that it's coming up, and you will still receive the email that we send out afterward with the slides and the link, and in this case, the letter of intent template that we have put together for you. So please register for our upcoming webinars. This will be a clickable link when you receive these slides later today. Okay, the next question that I have here, How do I set up a special needs trust for my grandson? Well, the special needs trust does need to be set up by an attorney. We are financial advisors. We do not have an attorney on staff. So their payment and their work is completely separate from Consolidated Planning Group. However, we do keep a list of attorneys all around Texas and all around the other states that we work in who focus on special needs planning and understand the nuances of the special needs trust and guardianship and things like that. We keep a constant eye on this list, and we're always adding new attorneys as we hear about them. We do talk to them and vet them. Our clients help us by telling us about the great attorneys they're using, or if they used someone from our list that wasn't very I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but who just didn't do a great job. So we keep that list updated, and we're willing to send that out to you if you have a meeting with us at least. So again, we don't work with the attorneys. We don't get any kickbacks or referral fees or anything like that. We just provide that as a resource for you. The final question here that I have from the pre-registry is when and how to apply for SSI for my girls. So when most people will not qualify for SSI benefits until their children turn 18. And that's because there are very low income and asset limits for SSI. So if you as the parent are making more than well, let's start with next month's numbers, right? Next month is 2025. So the number for 2025 is $1,620. That's how much you're allowed to make per month and still get SSI. You are also allowed to have $2,000 in the bank. You're allowed to have one home and one car. So if parents of a minor have more than those assets and more than that income, then your child is not going to qualify for SSI and Medicaid. Now, when your child reaches age 18, they are only going to look at the child's income and assets. So most of our clients, the children are able to qualify when they turn 18 because you know how much money your child has in the bank, as long as you keep their bank account under $2,000 and you make sure that they're not working, earning more than that $1,620, then you should be good to go. You can save money for your child in a special needs trust and an ABLE account. Those are the two places where your children can have money. And there are nuanced rules behind each of those things. We're happy to answer questions about that, or you can check out the webinars we've had about those vehicles as well. But you just need to make sure that they meet the income and asset guidelines, and we can certainly help you with that. So there was a question in the chat. How do you move a 401k from an old employer to an ABLE account without tax consequences? Or is this for tomorrow's presentation? Well, Robert, if it's a 401k and you have not paid taxes on that money yet, when you pull it out, you're going to have to pay taxes to some degree on that money. Now, the ABLE account is a tax advantaged account because you put money in, those are after tax dollars. You put money into the ABLE account, and then that money is used to purchase mutual funds usually. And as those funds grow and create income, the income is not taxed. So in general, the yield generated by the ABLE account is more than the fee that you have to pay to have the account. So it does outperform the fee at least. Now, of course, there's no guarantees. It is an investment vehicle. It could lose money, but we always make sure to align those ABLE accounts conservatively to make sure that you're not going to lose too much money, if any. And there are limits on how much you can put into your ABLE account each year because the government doesn't want you to have untaxed millions of dollars in earnings, right? So they keep a limit on that. And I am sure, Robert, that the webinar tomorrow is going to be helpful to answer that question. So this is our entire company. Allison and Jeff are the owners. Myself and my husband, Andy, are the other two financial advisors in the firm. What I love about working for this company is that all four financial advisors work as a collaborative team on every single client we have. So even if you start off by talking to me, if you have a question that's better answered by Allison, she'll jump in and help you. If you maybe gel better with Andy or Jeff, Jeff is a lot more analytical, so is Andy. Maybe you would prefer to work with them. We don't mind, and we all work on everybody's file. We've also got a fantastic staff that helps with all of the marketing and behind the scenes operations that take place in our office. So finally, we would invite you to schedule your free consultation with us. I see that there are people in the chat box who have had their free consultations, and hopefully they can speak up and let you know that we answer your questions and we don't bite. We do try to let you know how we work and what we do and what our fees are. We let you know about our company, but only after we answer your specific questions. We allow you to pick our brains as financial advisors, and we give you um, free consultations, the free advice, anything that you want to ask us about. Now, sometimes we're going to say, oh, well, that question would really be answered by you purchasing this financial planning package. But in general, we'll answer whatever questions we can for you. So you can call the office or email the office. You can call or email me, and I'm putting my email address and phone number in the chat box for you again. So if you want to reach out to me directly, I'd be happy to schedule your consultation. Or you can use the QR code if you like to do that. We also have links down here for our YouTube channel. That's where all of these webinars go. There's probably over 300 webinars over there right now, full of free, helpful educational information. We also have our Instagram, a podcast, and our Facebook page listed here so that you can find us and all of our social media and be able to come to us for your questions. So the last thing I want to say, I see, unless I get any more questions, the last thing I'll say is just that we're truly here to help. It's in our hearts. Of course, we sell things, and of course, we sell life insurance and do investments. But what is in our hearts is to help families in the special needs community. And that's what we strive to do. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us, even if you just have a quick question. We'll get that answered for you and take care of you. So no more questions in the chat box. You've got my contact info. If there's anything you need, please reach out. I hope everybody has a fantastic holiday season. I'm looking forward to being very busy in January. We are very busy right now, which we're loving. But I'll see you after the holidays. If I don't hear from you by then, I hope you have a fantastic Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. And just remember that we're here for you when you're ready. Thank you all for taking the time to be here with us today. Thank you, Cynthia, for hosting and for being here. And happy holidays to all. Thank you. Bye, everybody. I'm going to hold on and just let all of these thank yous wash over me. I love that. All right. Bye.